wasn't expecting much. I still think that some of what I said about it, I can see why I've skipped through it.
Yeah.
I can see why I skipped through it when I was younger too. Yes,
it's a good episode.
I liked it. This is my favourite of the three.
Right. Anyway, so do you want to start with 5 words?
Yes. My 5 words. Don't trust gas-powered ghosts.
Okay, I've gone for old lady has gas problem.
That's accurate. That's accurate.
I had ghosts give granny last Dickens.
Oh no! That is, to be fair, exactly what she pursued after coming back to life, kind of being meat puppeted.
Why did she go there?
Because Gwyneth saw into her old mind and said that the last thing that was on her mind before she died was that she was excited to see Charles Dickens.
So we're implying, because of the ending of the episode, that the Gelth will bring back the body of the dead, but the dead's brain still kind of works, because that's the only explanation. There's got to be some kind of psychic impression. That's the only explanation for why Gwyneth is doing things at the end, even though she's dead.
She is a psychic person, though, which we will see more of when we get into season 2.
Which explains why she's able to talk and act independently.
Yes.
But I think in a more minor way with the other corpses, it's just, oh, hey, do you want to do the last thing that...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Gelth are letting them do it out of the goodness of their hearts, I don't think kind of a thing. It's got to be a slightly out of their control.
Yeah, the Gelth don't seem like they're fully in the pilot seat.
I mean, I like the idea that the Gelth went in and were like, actually, this guy sounds brilliant. Let's go see Charles Dickens.
I prefer that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, welcome back. We just watched the Unquiet or Unquiet.
The Unquiet dead.
They're not quite. No, that's why I always as a kid thought it was Unquiet. I know, but I never knew it as a kid. I was a stupid kid and I read it as Unquiet dead.
You did say Unquiet before we sat down to watch the episode, and then you brought this up right before we pressed play.
Mm.
Did you read the title and realise just now, or was that like
no
habitual that you got it wrong the first time?
It's kind of a mix of both, but I did realise it years ago.
Right,
but
okay.
it was like 10 years before I realised it was Unquiet. Unquiet sounds dumber to me.
I mean, it's kind of, it's a bit more poetic, right? And it fits for a Charles Dickens episode. That's the voice that Sam would make if he was a Gelth.
If he were Unquiet.
A Gelth meat puppet.
They're not quiet. They go and all of which I wrote down for the quotes.
Oh shit, that's great. I like that. So we're going to have to pick between your favourite garbles.
It depends whether I pick that as the quote I'm going with.
Okay, fair.
We'll get there when we get to
I'll save my quote.
Banger or schlanger?
Oh,
boys?
banger. Absolutely.
It's a banger. I personally don't think it's as much as a banger as the last one.
I would agree. At least not the last one. I really, really enjoyed End of the World.
I think it's a solid episode, but it's not... It's not as... I guess the pace is slower, and so it feels like less happens, which, can be good, but it does lead to you feeling like, oh, that was good, but I don't feel hyped at the end of it about how good it was.
Now, the slow pace is actually one of my positives I had for the episode.
Yeah.
I really liked just calming down a bit.
Yeah.
No, I like the pace. I think it's good to have this episode where it is in the series, but, as I say, I think the change from... just you leave the End of the World where so much has happened and it's all fast paced and you got the music and it keeps up this high tempo that you kept over from Rose, and then this it is a real change of that, and I think it leaves you kind of even though it is a good episode, it leaves you at the end not as, you don't have the adrenaline of it.
Yes,
which means it doesn't feel as good.
So that brings up the question: Do we agree that if we all say it's a banger, because we've got a binary banger / slanger?
We do. There is no nuance. We're not a grey podcast.
But do we on occasions where we all agree it's a banger, but we don't all agree that it should equate to the absolute banger? Should we say that this is just a regular banger?
I think it's just a regular banger.
Yeah,
I think it's a regular banger.
I think that the way it is that I'm the only one tonight, I think, that was very, very hot on this episode. I think it's amazing.
Oh, I really liked it, but it wasn't as high on my scale as the previous episode.
Exactly, because I think
exactly where
I think I'm voting absolute banger in a sense, whereas you two are just voting banger. So I think banger pervades. So to be honest, even if
it's still a banger though.
Yes, even if me and you both thought it was absolute banger territory, but Sam didn't, it would just be a banger.
Yeah, I think we should have some kind of scale to that.
It has to be unanimous.
It gives us a little more nuance, whilst also letting our scale be shit, basically.
Yes.
Just a shit.
It's
just
say
also
it's completely arbitrary.
Yeah, I think making it up as we go along is also very much the point of this podcast.
I will say, me really liking the episodes more than you, I think is going to be a trend at the beginning. And then as we go on, it's going to be me going
around. Oh, back in my day.
I did have a lot of likes though.
Oh, me too.
First thing I wrote down
filled it up.
Was the Undertaker.
Mr. Sneed. I wrote he is a perfect slime ball.
He's great.
I
have several of his quotes when we get to the quotes.
I have a couple of his quotes as well.
He was very well done character. And he's there at the start, and he kind of sets up the tone of the episode quite well in the cold open.
I like the setup that the moment he comes into the scene again, it's immediately revealed that he has known about this the whole time, and you know that he's a bit of a slimeball from that moment, because he's not disclosing the fact that the dead are coming back to life and murdering people.
I thought immediately what was going on there, because I don't remember this episode at all.
Yeah.
I may have never seen this episode before today. Yeah, like there's a good chance I haven't.
You read the title, you're like, The Unquiet Dead? I don't get it, and then just skipped the episode.
I mean, what does that mean? I've never heard the word.
I don't want unquite dead, I want undead.
He was just excited for real ghosts and zombies. He wanted fully dead.
That was the first thing I said.
Dead.
Or just the dead.
The dead, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But anyway,
the fully dead.
The fully dead. But no, my point was, that when he walks back into the room and he sees like the guy sort of gargling over the corpse of his mother or whoever, his grandmother, I don't know. I thought Sneed was going, oh no, and he was going to go up and go, what kind of tomfoolery are you to partake? And then he'd look at the corpse and they'd both go, ooh, no, that's a ghost.
That's kind of the double take that
it did
kind
pull
of
the rug out
expect
from
you to
under me.
do.
Yeah.
Especially because he says, "Oh, not dead, just sleeping." Before she murders.
It was when that guy looked at him, and I just thought he was going to call him stupid.
Also, it's quite.
She's not sleeping. She's actually dead. She was my relative, and I'm quite upset that she's died, and you're trying to downplay it.
I poisoned her. I know she's dead.
Oh no!
I'm inserting my own lore. No, Sneed was fantastic. I loved every line he had. I liked how he wasn't evil. He's not horrible. He's just a bit of a sleazebag.
He's pretty awful.
Well,
he is established.
He's not Cassandra.
He's established to be completely fine with murder. They take care of people that find out too much.
That's true.
Because Gwyneth asks, "Did you take care of him?" referring to the guy that gets strangled by his mother/grandmother.
Oh, never mind.
And he says, "She did," and Gwyneth's like, "Oh, how sad." But that kind of implies that they've been offing people that find out.
I didn't pick that up.
Also, Rose is still alive, and that seems to be kind of a surprise to them after they chloroform her. And he also cops a field, so he's also a pervert.
He's also a pervert.
He is, yeah.
Much like Marty's dad.
This is why I wrote down that he's the perfect slime ball, right? Because he's thoroughly entertaining to watch. He's a really good character to have in this episode, because there's not really a solid antagonist for the rest of it. You need something...
The girls are just there.
For you to have a little bit of a polarising opinion about, and I think he fits that well. He's also good comic relief. But yeah, he's just an awful guy, but he's still very human and kind of weak and pathetic.
Yeah, there's a reason I wrote him down. Next, I've written down that we get another lovely shot of the TARDIS in the vortex, flying backwards this time.
So we've now established both
forwards
vortex
and backwards
colours.
I also like that we've gone from doing... We've got our introductory episode, we've done a future sci-fi episode, and now we're doing a historical episode.
I wrote that as well. Back in Time was the perfect time in the season to do a back in time
The only thing
episode.
that maybe could have been better is if they'd have done it as a pure historical.
Yeah.
Just because we don't get enough of those.
Well, they never do it, do they?
In New
really, at all.
Not in New Who.
Yeah, I only know them from Classic Who,
Yeah.
and even then, early Classic Who exclusively.
This explains why I have seen none of these.
It's like the third Hartnell episode.
Right.
So the third Doctor Who episode ever is just some cave people. No, not the third one. Sorry, this is on the record, so I can't get this wrong. It's the first one. The first one is just some cavemen.
The thing is,
just
like the whole idea of the original show was that you'd have your companions be one be a history and one be science.
Yes,
and then
that's
you go
true.
to the future or past.
It
And
was
learn
meant to be a
about
lot more educational,
science or
wasn't
history.
it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Whereas, like at this point, it is just aliens. Always.
I wouldn't mind a bit more of that, but I think there's plenty to be learned in this episode in the theming. There's some stuff that came up that I was like, oh, this is actually really clever, and I never would have thought of it as a child watching the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's I'm your number one fan. In what way do you resemble a thing for cooling yourself?
That was just part of the funny lines. Like I really like that. Every line
the dialogue
Dickens had was great.
well done in this. I mean, that's a tick for Mark Gatiss, in my opinion.
Mm.
I mean, also of course, I wrote down CMGW.
Yeah,
Corin Murray Goldwyn.
Is it really pronounced Gatiss?
I mean, there's a double S at the end. So
I always just assumed it was Mark Gatiss.
I might be wrong.
No. As in, it's just a genuine question.
I was following how British English tends to be pronounced by how it's written. However, British English happens to be bad at that.
To be fair, I am also a believer in the unquite dead.
Yeah.
So I'm probably wrong.
One of us is definitely wrong. That's the most important part.
On the note of the historical
Mark Gatiss,
stuff,
if you're listening to this, please
tell us
he's
about
gonna be
your
like, who the fuck is that? I'm
email
Mark
us.
Gatiss.
no. Yes, email me specifically.
Email Matt at
Journey to Clom.
gmail.com.
That rhyme has made me so happy.
I wrote down with regards to the historical stuff, the wardrobe. We get the wardrobe.
I put
Rose has
wardrobe
an
mentioned
outfit-
with a big tick.
Outfit change.
The Doctor,
actually,
none.
That's something I put on the dislike is why does the Doctor not change his outfit?
No, I like it.
I don't. I think he should have changed his outfit.
I think
Nine wouldn't change his outfit.
I think he probably should. In terms of he calls out Rose for not being appropriately dressed. He's like, oh, calls her riot.
He's in a leather jacket and a
then
jumper.
goes out in a leather jacket. And to be fair, maybe he thought that in Naples the leather jacket would have gone down well.
A bizarre opinion.
I wasn't around in like what was it 1860? They thought they were around.
1869.
That's where they ended
thought
up.
it was 1860.
So if
he did,
if 1860 Naples,
they all wore
was full
black
of leather
jackets and black jumpers.
Yeah. I think that there's a chance that's the case, Like I wasn't there.
I just don't think it was.
I
the
wasn't
fashion.
born until a little bit after that.
I'm gonna get. Yeah. Well.
I bullied Sam into submission over me not being alive in 1860.
What response can I have to that? Right,
but only just.
Yeah, it's just barely missed it.
I've written down Chekhov's Cardiff Rift.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
I put down that the Torchwood setup is based because they also have Gwyneth, who is the same actor that plays Gwen Cooper in Torchwood, which is referenced later.
She's got such horrible television to look forward to.
She does. But they do have a good nod to that in later episodes of Doctor Who, when the Doctor meets Gwen for the first time, and he asks if she's from an old Cardiff family, because she is in fact related to Gwyneth. And they have also almost the same name.
Oh, okay.
So that's fun. That's just a completely pointless tie-in that they did in the same way that they do a few times. Where you can see that they've recast an actor and they've decided this is just a relation.
It's okay, you can say Martha.
I mean, let's not forget the whole art for Capaldi.
I'm going to suggest that they also do the same for Amy Pond later on, because she was a weird Roman seer before she was Amy Pond.
Wasn't that Peter Capaldi?
Same episode.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. And she's just got face paint on, but it's very clearly her.
That's amazing.
But you have Capaldi having his whole thing of, why did I pick my face?
So that's all kind of set up in this.
Did they
episode.
ever resolve that?
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
god.
There's a whole reason. It's amazing.
Mm.
They thought about things.
I see schlangers in my future.
There's probably a few schlangs in there, yeah.
Many. Right. Next positive that I've got.
Yeah.
Oh, have you got?
I was just going to say on the note of Gwyneth.
Oh yes.
I wrote down Gwyneth.
Yes, Gwyneth was fantastic. She's
I really like
good.
when she sees the future and goes on that kind of monologue about how weird and terrifying it is, because I feel like they framed someone from the past seeing a psychic glimpse of a kind of recognisable place but all future-y really well. Like it's a horror moment for her.
Yeah, and also the setup of Bad Wolf.
And Bad Wolf mentioned. I feel like it was probably mentioned last episode and we missed it. Actually.
I think it was probably said by the station at some
feel
point.
Like they,
announcer,
I feel like they
the
had Bad Wolf Corporation or something.
Maybe something like that, right?
But Rose's dad also set up
in this episode.
I really liked them establishing that. I've got below that in my notes. So establishing Rose's dad dead. Season 1, a good self-contained story. This
really
goes
is.
back to my point I said in episode 1. I'm a big fan of New Who not being super sprawling. I'm a fan of it being, we have a beginning and we have an end in mind.
I like a good mix.
Yeah.
But in season 1, they didn't really know if they were going to get renewed at all. So
yeah,
I think this is
that's probably a big part of it, isn't it?
very well done.
I mean, he didn't even know if anyone would want to watch. I mean, actually, no, that's not true. Russell T Davies thought people would want to watch it. The BBC was like, "Who want to watch Doctor Who?"
But here we are, almost 20 years later, doing a shit podcast about it.
And also, it's still running.
It's still on. They didn't stop.
Even Chibnall couldn't kill it.
That's true. God, he tried though.
He did.
When we get to that, we're going to get a lot.
I have my next positive, and I really like this.
Yeah.
I remembered from the trading card game Doctor Who Battles in Time.
I had that.
And
I had some cards of those.
And not so much from the episode, which we've established I may not have ever watched. That the Gelth are like this gas life form thing. I always thought that they were just that way normally. What I've discovered today is that in fact, no, they're not. They're just normal things, and some weird Time War fuckery happened, and it turned them into gas.
They're gas people now.
And I love the Time War just being absolutely bizarre. I think it should have never, ever, ever once been shown on TV. Ever. And I will complain about this in 7 to 9 seasons' time.
Whenever it comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, generally speaking, they do avoid showing the Time War for the most part.
Oh, fully. I'm complaining
it's
about...
It's only the final battle for Gallifrey.
Which I really hate. I hate it so much.
Okay.
But we'll get there
when
again
we get drip-fed bits about it, so I kind of agree with Matt on this one as well.
It's meant to be this, like, bizarre thing where, like, we've deployed a weapon that has erased the army that you're going to make next week. Sorry about that. And the idea that the Gelth just got hit by, like, a wayward weapon that got, like, deflected, and it turned them into gas. I just like how fucking strange that is.
Speaking of them being gas, right, so I had this thought that, just in general, I firstly, I really liked in the scene with Charles Dickens, where he's describing Marley's face, and then he goes, it was a bit like that, because he's seeing a real ghost, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the cheesiness of that, and I like that they use that moment really early on to establish the fact that they get kind of sucked into sources of gas very easily.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that whole gas lamp thing at all, and I noticed the episode began with a gas lamp being lit.
But it means that the historical setting is deeply tied in to the that like all of the conflict and resolution being around gas-based beings, and also it's a Charles Dickens episode, so there's ghosts, and also the number one cause of actual ghost stories is carbon monoxide poisoning. So it really, really works in this tight package where you're like, all of this is actually really nice.
Mark Gatiss,
and it all is like
self-tick.
Referential to like different parts, and it like bounces around and comes back, and I like it.
A much smaller thing. The Doctor smiling while Rose is going off.
What, on Mr. Sneed?
Yeah.
No,
like, a little bit of cheeky, like,
She's like, and you caught to feel, and you can just see the Doctor smirking.
Because he's like, I've never been spoken to like this before, and she's like, well, fucking deal with it then.
This does continue
and the Doctor's like,
This does continue that thing from episode 2 of Rose just meeting Cassandra and within seconds, insulting her savagely.
I'll tell you,
Rose is great.
Rose established to be 19 this episode. I think it's the first time they actually mention her age was this episode.
Bit creepy.
Rose's perspective after Gwyneth dies.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Me too. That leads into my only change.
I like
Save
that
the world.
Gwyneth died in that scene. The way it's revealed is actually really cool.
Really well done.
It's like sad and scary, and also it's kind of nice that she still gets a hero moment, even though she's been dead for several minutes.
Man, I hope I get a hero moment after I've been dead for several minutes.
I don't have gas-powered zombies, but I can get some strings and I can puppet you around a bit.
No, he'll be on the floor, and we'll look back, and your hand, despite being dead, will have inexplicably moved and has matches in his hand, and we look and go, thank you, leave, and then the house blows up.
I like the idea that, like, he's also flipping us off with the other hand, and we notice there's a lit match in that hand, and then we get blown up too.
Oh, we'd stop and go nice and just be incinerated.
Sam's plan is absolutely to take us with him.
Oh, completely.
So we can continue the podcast.
Oh, yes,
Wherever
of
we
course.
end
We'll
up.
fade back in.
Maybe we need to die to get to Clom.
Oh no, I don't want to go to Clom.
That's the no, that's
we
true.
do.
To Clom.
We
Final
do want
season.
to go to
Clom.
Clom.
Clom is good
Clom
enough to
Clom
die
at
for.
any cost.
Oh,
Clom
I've
to
got
die
another
for.
positive. TARDIS has bins.
TARDIS doesn't
Sorry,
pass
that
the
was,
bins.
I wrote that down as a joke.
Pass the
basically.
bins is part of the
I
directions,
just like,
isn't it?
I like that. But no, let me have a quick double check.
I mentioned right
have
towards
nothing
the end
else.
of the episode when they used the gas to draw the Gelth out of the bodies.
Oh, very
Firstly, that's just really great internal logic for this episode. I think the setup for how the Gelth work is done really well in an otherwise quite slow-paced episode. They managed to sneak in enough background knowledge about how this completely new race works. But the fact that all of the human characters who are still alive in that scene are struggling to breathe through the gas, and so they have to leave. And the Doctor isn't showing signs yet of struggling, which is just a nice way of showing that he's got a different biology to a
You
human.
can just breathe any gas, I
I mean,
guess.
to be fair, we're going to see Tennant on multiple occasions vent radiation out of his body by dancing, and then one occasion where he doesn't do that at the very end, and then he dies. So we can play it fast and loose with the Doctor being able to survive slightly more than a human. I'm really okay with that.
There's that time he just goes into a vacuum.
Yeah,
You know
he
that
does
bit
do that too.
in the last episode? I keep saying the last episode a lot, but remember that bit in the last episode with the fan where he just walks through it at super speed? I'd love to see that clip played at real time of him just walking up to the fan and going.
Presumably how that
Naruto
happens.
jutsus his way through that thing.
Because that is that's kind of implied, but because they show it slowed down, it feels like this is kind of a level of magical realism I can accept.
I obviously would not like it changed, but it would be very funny if the episode when first aired just had him walk up to the fan confidently and just threw it.
Or he did it in real time, but it did that
So-
Bollywood style 3-angle cut where it shows it 3 times and then once in slow mo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be
It
good.
resets the entire motion every time.
Do we have any more likes we want to talk about
One-
specifically?
I think I do,
more.
yes.
Okay.
One more, and that is going back to a positive I had on episode 1. Excellent, spooky, love the horror. I like ghost stories and horror ideas framed in a science fiction dressing. One of my favourite movies, Quatermass and the Pit, does that, where there are ghosts, but not really. They're actually Martians.
And we got zombies to boot as well in this episode.
Yeah, we got
I think
ghosts
a double
and
bill.
zombies.
I think the best
It
horror.
was so good.
The best horror sci-fi movie is Event Horizon.
I thought you were about to say The Expanse. I thought you were about to shill for it in a way that was wrong.
No, but actually, the first book certainly is a bit horror.
Well, I mean, the first season is very horror, but
It's
no,
quite-
Event
it's quite
Horizon, I wanna watch it. I've heard it's both good and schlock.
Schlock.
I thought it was great.
Oh, okay. I need to watch it. Sam Neill should play the Doctor. Anyway, next.
Right, so my last few things are they introduced the flirting between the Doctor and Rose in this episode. It's the first
It's
time.
overt.
The first time they flirt, and I do
I
like
put that
it's-
as a dislike.
I do like. Well, I think I would have disliked it depending on how it was handled.
It is indeed.
I like the way that it's initiated by Rose just being quite casually flirty. The somewhat being a bit enamoured and marvelled by the fact that he's able to travel through time being the kind of the core point of it. I think that's fine. Him kind of reflexively saying she's beautiful and then having to backtrack is a bit more awkward, but I don't mind that given the context. I think that's kind of fine. It's maybe a bit heavy of a phrase.
I didn't
I
take it as
didn't like it.
backtracking. I took it
I
as he
did.
genuinely meant, oh, you're beautiful, for your stupid ape body.
Oh no, he
I
definitely...
like my women's cephalopod.
She has a reaction and then he backtracks.
Ah,
it is
okay,
a...
okay.
He just said it off the cuff as a... He saw her and she was attractive, that was very whoa.
I'm not a big fan of Rose being romanced by the Doctor.
I mean, the thing is, I'll come around to it so heavily in the next season that, I don't mind it being established here. Also, it does... it is kind of required for the parting of the ways
I
to work.
I don't need... but it's something I want to change.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want it to work differently.
Well, that's fair. We'll get to that.
I'm very down for Rose being
into the Doctor, absolutely
yes,
fine.
because
It's the Doctor. It's the Doctor being into Rose that I don't
At
like.
this stage, I feel like it's too soon.
Yeah.
I can see it on the kind of him reciprocating angle.
I have one last thing that I liked.
Yeah.
Which is the very end. Which is where Dickens is just like, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And goodwill to all. Which I think is the end of Christmas Carol.
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah.
They do purposefully parallel him with Scrooge in this episode.
So good.
One of the things I really liked is that they made him kind of old, depressed Dickens near the end of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So that
he refuses to believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
And then he has like 3 experiences with ghosts that change his mind about things.
He's still reluctant
to
do anything.
And it's Christmas.
Oh God, yeah.
It's the parallels.
Right.
That's what I want to talk about.
He's still reluctant about the entire thing, like even to help at the end, and then he gets his. Oh, at the lowest moment, he comes back to help, and he's very clever about it.
I mean, also the final like fantastical thing he sees is a time traveller going back to the future. So there is a ghost of Christmas future at the end for him as well.
The Doctor is the ghost of Christmas future.
So it's the parallels there are great. I also just like that as a historical episode, we're not going back and seeing someone's peak. We're not seeing like, oh, this is like Dickens working on his most famous book. It's like old, washed up Charles Dickens who like hates himself and everything around him, and I think that's really funny.
I love that he's A-okay with the Doctor tagging along only after the Doctor starts singing his praises.
Yeah, the kind of the sneaky flattery.
That was
I like that.
Very good.
I noted down that the Doctor pushed boxes at the Boston Tea Party. That was mentioned this episode. That is interesting to me because it's one of the only mentions that I can think of that puts the Doctor as a character in opposition to the kind of the standard level of British supremacy that the show tends to pivot on. It's all very like the British are always right, and we support them no matter what. There's like multiple future episodes that have like the future British Empire, and we're an empire again in space.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's just really okay with that. So it's interesting to see one example of, oh, yeah, I was on the other side for once because, yeah, the British weren't doing good things back then. That's nice.
No. He did it to get a picture with the people who were in the harbour so he could prove it to Rose.
He was actually pushing them back out of the
harbour. He actually
his carriage rises from the harbour with like boxes of tea.
There's so many other pictures the Doctor is in or paintings he's in that weren't shown in Rose because they weren't found. He had to cast such a wide net.
He was fine with the tea going in. He was there to save the beans.
He was there to save the beans. That's true.
I see.
Oh, that's a notable lack of beans in this episode.
I know that's one of the changes I've got is add beans.
Add beans.
You could have like a little moment where when they've got to like just before they have the séance or when they're like into like saying like what's going on with these dead people, and they could just be having some beans on toast.
Well, when the Gelf goes from being blue to being
orange.
No,
guys,
what if it became beans?
No. What do beans make you have?
Gas!
Yes!
Oh, yeah,
no. So that brings me onto one of my dislikes. The dead woman's in the middle of this theatre, and nobody's like, this is a dead woman sat next to me. She looks like a corpse.
Well, we are in medieval Cardiff.
It's not even...
I know. I thought very hard about that. I think everyone stinks.
I think maybe you could excuse the smell because the gas creature maybe stops the smell by consuming the gas.
It's kind
That's
of
what they're talking
pulling
about.
all the gas back into itself to puppet her around.
She's clearly a corpse.
I don't know, before she starts freaking out when she's just sitting still, I'm pretty sure everyone in the fucking theatre's staring at Charles Dickens and being like, oh my god, it's Charles Dickens.
They had to take their seats. Somebody's had to like shuffle past her and be like, excuse me, and she's going to have to be like, oh.
Okay, when you're at the cinema and someone is quietly sitting there, perfectly dead, you wouldn't notice. If someone in front of you in the cinema starts going, oh, and gas ghosts come out of them, that's when you notice, because they're being an annoying prick. That's when everyone notices.
I get why the setup is, I just think she looks too much like a corpse. If they had it so she didn't have all those like blue veins showing on her face and she was just quite pale, I wouldn't have such an issue.
I like the veins because it implies that there's Gelf in her veins, which
but
is
equally,
cool and
again,
weird.
it feels like people should have noticed this.
I mean, logically, it also doesn't make much sense because I feel like there'd be less gas in the blood than
and
there
then
would be
also,
in the open
but
cavity.
she's gone to this play because she wanted to see the play before she died. Did she
To
also want to
last
kill
Dickens.
her relative before she died?
Well, okay, this is going to get to
I think that's just the Gelf.
my dislike and my change. I had one dislike that I think there's a good chance it's shared by Matt, and there's a decent chance it's shared by Sam as well. The Gelf go fully evil out of nowhere. I think that they shouldn't have done an evil monologue. They should have kept on with the pity the Gelf, and you even have Charles Dickens when just after they've gone evil, he's like, I thought they said they were few. Just don't have them do the monologue, and that scene's great. Don't have it turn into an orange demon thing. Have them still look all angelic. A shit ton of them come through, and Charles Dickens is like, I thought they said they were few. And then you have the Doctor go, oh, I'm stupid, in the way that he does when he realises things. There's a doctor.
I think he's too easily tricked.
Fuck.
Especially given the fact that we already know the Gelf want to kill people when they're in the corpses. They've already killed people.
I don't know that the Doctor and Rose actually caught up to that plot point.
Okay, but I feel like the other two should have been like, these guys don't seem great. They've been doing murder.
By this point, Gwyneth is convinced that they're angels, so I'm okay with her
angels do God's sanctified murder,
and also she is in that moment of the scene dead as well, so she can't really object at that point. But the Mr. Sneed probably should say something.
I'm surprised he doesn't say anything.
He is kind of characterised as a coward. Like he seems to be like he runs to run away from his problems and or cover up his problems so that it doesn't become a public liability for his company, essentially, right? So but maybe that's the reason.
The fact he's had like people dying,
he really didn't care about that much, though, did he?
No, but I
think he would have killed that bloke if his grandma hadn't strangled him to death.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, it's the fact that there is the setup of they're already killing people.
Yeah.
But they're good and we should help them.
No, you're
right.
There's
the disconnect there, and then I don't like the fact that, like you say, I don't like that it turns big evil orange demon. I think that's stupid and rubbish and unneeded.
The change to make with that is to
cool
get rid of them turning into orange devil thing. We don't need an angel devil thing in this. We've already got enough good theming. We can just leave it as Gwyneth sees them as angels because they're floaty gas people.
It's a bit odd that the evil form is orange fire, which doesn't burn as hot.
Yeah,
it's because they're being less hot because they're less on it because they decide to do an evil monologue instead of just possessing the Doctor.
I have a proposal.
I think it was just Mark Gatiss/Gatiss trying to hint that he really wanted beans in the final cut of this episode, and he got cucked by probably Russell T Davies. What a bastard!
No.
Cucked the beans.
No. I think
wanted
it was
chips.
He wanted chips.
I think it was the presenter of BBC News directly intervening.
That's another thing. Why did they bother possessing all the corpses before possessing the Doctor and Rose when they so easily possess Mr.
He has his neck snapped first, which doesn't make sense. Because the whole idea was that the bodies have started the process of decomposition, and therefore there's more gas present in them, which makes them a viable host.
Oh, no, that would have been bad if they'd have eaten. No, actually, you could have used the beans, so they've eaten beans, and then they're full of gas, and then they're vulnerable.
The Gelfs should have force-fed people beans?
No. I'm saying that if you just have them eat beans at some point in the episode, and then later on they're at risk, and it raises the stakes, because now they can be possessed because they're full of gas.
I have a proposal for how we can fix this issue. So, have the Gelf not kill anybody at all until they're under the archway, and they come out, and the people in the morgue get up, and have Mr. Sneed be the first one who gets killed, and then they possess him, and then they go, fuck, okay, we screwed up.
I think that Mr. Sneed I don't think you should change it. I really like the setup. I like the fact that he's been aware the whole time and he's a slimeball and a coward, and so he covers it up. I think that at the point... He took in Gwyneth, right, when her parents died, and he's kept her as a kind of minimum wage slave, right? But the idea that maybe there is a level to which he cares about her a bit, and him seeing her in the archway makes him freak out and try and spill the beans on the Gelf, and that's why they snap his neck.
That would have been really cool.
Would be a really good turn.
Yeah, you keep them from being evil.
Or like even just have him object a bit more to her going in the arch in the first place, and be like, I know you're saying they're angels and you think they're angels, but they did kill that man, which seems not great. I think
maybe
they
if it's like a hushed thing that he like pulls her aside and tries to talk her out of it, so that you can still have the Doctor and Rose behave appropriately for not knowing.
You are right. The Geth killing people did make sense because they want more bodies to be in.
Yeah, right. Like it makes sense why they do it, but it also then makes no sense as to why they sort of don't bring that up when they're like, oh, we'll help them. At the end, I feel like even just like we say, like it just having him pull her aside and be like, but they killed people. Are you sure they actually angels? And then she can just be like, very clearly set on.
Because she says that whole thing of they've been whispering to me since I was a child. You could have that part of the monologue come to his objections.
Yeah. And it would also give him a nice, almost bit of redemption towards the end for being a bad person.
Because I think he's a bad person, but he's also shown to be have a lot of kind of very human flaws.
Yeah.
And so I like the idea that he's not the main antagonist of the episode. He's just kind of like an unlikable guy.
And he gets to do a bit of humanity if he were to do that.
Because then he becomes a kind of a morally awkward bad guy, but he's not... there's a difference between him letting the clientele die to the gas zombies and letting the girl that he adopted as a child and basically raised die to the gas zombies.
Even then...
I think him having a bit of a heart would be okay.
Thinking about it, I agree. But thinking about it, there's no time to discuss all of this in the episode. Everything's very quick-paced. Also... Sneed is perfectly willing, as you've said, to kill people to cover things up. Maybe he's seeing kinship in these aliens, going, well, they want to cover it up, I don't blame them. That would have made some sense.
I think there being so many of them should freak him out to the point of blabbing on them and kind of securing his, I'm a human and I don't want to die, because there are clearly too many of them, and their solution to there being too many of them is there need to be more corpses, and he is one of the few people in the room that can become one. Yeah. So, I think even if it's just out of self-preservation, even if he really likes the idea...
with a really terrible change that would be really shit.
Okay. So you're going to Chibnall the episode. How would you Chibnall?
Okay, this is the Chibnall segment.
Have them kill the Doctor to try and possess him, but then he just regenerates, and they're like, oh, fuck.
And then they just do it again. They do it a few times.
Yeah. Are you saying we curse of fatal death this episode?
All I'm saying is that with the Timeless Child being canon, they could do it as many times as they want.
Legit, at this point, it's almost like I'm waiting for somebody to decide to do an episode where the Doctor dies more than once in the episode.
Yeah.
To have, a guest star be the Doctor.
They already did this. It was called Doctor Who, The Curse of Fatal Death.
They did do that.
And because of the Timeless Child bullshit being canon... That can be canon now, easily. That could just happen hundreds of years in the future. Canon. Yeah. Rowan Atkinson is just the 17,000th Doctor.
Or possibly, the 28th.
Here's the thing. If the Doctor can regenerate infinitely and presumably goes on adventures forever, then that means the world is so saturated by versions of the Doctor. It means at any given moment there is a version of him.
You could have a scene where you pick out every extra and then bring them back 20 years later as the Doctor. And it's implied that there was a scene in 2005 Doctor Who where every character on screen was the Doctor.
That's bad. No,
the Doctor can come back with different faces as well. So as long as they get Billie Piper to play the Doctor at some point,
god! Oh, that's
then
amazing.
You could have everyone, including Rose, be the Doctor. And she just replaces Rose for one scene.
The few
she tells Rose like she leaves like a message on the psychic paper that's like, Rose, I've gone out to get chips, and then she replaces Rose and goes on an adventure with herself for one episode and then goes back.
The few billion Gelth are all the Doctor as well.
Now this is the kind of fixing Doctor Who that people are really here for.
We decided
we've really messed it up.
We didn't fix enough in the last 2 episodes, so now we're really going to do this one. This episode that I think is better.
I've taken us on a detour to make things work.
I really enjoy this.
I have one thing that I might change, and even then I don't think I
Did you have any other dislikes that were separate from changes?
I have not one dislike at all.
I think in general the dislikes and the changes kind of go hand in hand.
As it turns out, I'm quite an amicable person. I've really enjoyed
I feel like, again, because of the main thing is that the Doctor's too easily tricked because of the killings happening earlier. It feels like he's been a bit too stupid about it.
I think if they reshuffled that scene, they could very easily make it more clear that the Doctor's not aware that they were murdered.
I have another idea
absolutely.
about this. As soon as it becomes apparent that the Time War is responsible for this problem, he suddenly becomes a lot more willing to overlook the issues because he's trying to atone for it.
That was one of my likes, was that the Doctor's motivation at the end of the episode. It's one of the first examples of him, and I talked about this in the last episode, of him being kind of happily going to the murder route in episode 1 and the standing by while someone explodes to death in episode 2. Is very different from the Doctor we were going to see in the future, where at basically every opportunity he tries to rehome all of the aliens to somewhere safer. He does that for the first time this episode. He says, this is a temporary solution, I'll find somewhere better for you. And I think that is entirely motivated by, these are my victims as a war criminal.
They're refugees from my war crimes.
Yeah, and
I'm not okay with war crimes for a few regenerations yet.
Oh god,
that's true. We do get a good few war crimes coming up.
God, I hate Doctor Who.
Can that be the tagline for this episode?
I hate Doctor Who.
And then it's a glowing review of how much we love this episode.
So, do we have anything else to change or dislike?
Yes, I have one that I might change, and even then I might not really commit to it. Maybe the threat could have been a bit less global. It's because at the very end, Rose has that wonderful line of a poor servant girl saved the world, no one will ever know. And it did make me go, man, Earth has dodged a bullet, like, on average, every 3 years.
To be fair, that's just what Rose says. We don't actually know whether it was entirely Earth-threatening, or whether it would have just been...
We only know because of the stupid monologue. Because the monologue, they say we're going to kill every human on Earth and take their bodies.
The monologue fucking sucks.
But yeah, assuming we fix the monologue, we could make it much smaller scale. Even if it's just all of London,
we're gonna ruin it. No,
reason enough to know.
Cardiff. We're gonna take over Wales.
Welsh London.
And then they did in real life.
Yes, London,
Have you been to Wales recently?
I haven't seen... I mean, last I was there, I did see people that looked a bit slow and shuffly. They might have been full of gas.
Yeah, right?
They probably were.
They probably ate a lot of beans.
No. And
that made them vulnerable,
Well, you know that they shut the mines because they struck beans.
They shut the mines because they struck gas and the Gelf came back.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, they should touch on that in a very tasteful way in the next Shooty Gatwa episode.
What, they're going to have the Doctor be pro-Thatcher? Because I don't think that would go down well.
No, I don't think so.
Also,
the Doctor was saying, no, you have to shut the mines at the miners.
The Doctor becomes a scab, is the name.
It's the arc for him to become evil.
Oh!
He meets Thatcher. And Thatcher tells him, what's the point in living if it's not to make others die?
And then he goes back to become his own evil self as the Valyard. Yeah.
Oh, that's almost smart.
His Valyard.
That's almost a good idea.
His Valyard arc, therefore, is the fault of Thatcher. Which
actually, that as a concept, I think is quite funny.
And it's revealed that the Thatcher. You know where I'm going with this now. Thatcher is the master.
No, the Thatcher.
Oh, it's a Thatcher. It's a separate one. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I think
it's Rassilon. Rassilon is Thatcher.
I wish there was more Time Lords that we saw and had appear. It doesn't always have to be the Master.
I disagree.
I think that's true in general for Doctor Who. I don't think we need any of them in this series.
No.
Series 1
absolutely
needs to have none. I mean, realistically, all the way till the end of Tennant's run, I don't really want to see any other Time Lords, with the exception of when they try to bring Gallifrey to...
Well, this is...
Which already is a bit
the
silly.
end of Russell T Davies' run. I've got my running point I've talked to you guys about off recording, about the Daleks and how I think they shouldn't have come back so many times. I think it should have been consolidated, so all the episodes still have them.
We can always talk about recurring villains and stuff.
Oh yeah, but what I mean, for the sake of this tangent, not related to the episode, is that just the Master, that's it, and then only a few Daleks, and that's it, and then you never have them ever again. But anyway, let's move back onto the Unquiet Dead.
I think with all of our changes out the way, we can move on to the quote.
Oh, I've got.
So my first quote.
I'll be dead when I'm quite.
Was that the first? Oh, was that the woman?
That's the first one.
What's your second quote, Sam?
The stiffs are getting lively again.
That's my first quote. That's maybe my second favourite quote.
I really like that. That's a Mr. Sneed quote, of course.
Oh.
She's 86. She couldn't have got far.
That's also a Mr. Sneed quote.
I was going to ask you guys earlier when I was making my 5-word summary, do you remember her age? Because I was going to say Ghost give octogenarian last Dickens, because that might be better.
Okay, we'll use that when we get to voting on those, I suppose.
Have you got any quotes, Clom?
I've got a few. I did the stiffs are getting lively again.
Oh, well, we'll just dance back.
I have the... perhaps he'll do us an exorcism on the cheap.
I love that one. I saw you guys both writing it down.
Before that, when the Doctor pushes Dickens up to the side and goes, "Yeah, mate, not now, thanks."
But with the context of it being Charles Dickens.
I've got a Charles Dickens quote of Tommy Rot.
That was very good also. I've got my second of two quotes, and I'm going to say it because I often don't have many quotes, so I'm going to get my foot in the door. I think it's gone a little bit wrong.
I had that as well. But before that, I've written, "We're under some mesmeric influence."
Oh, and this is some phantasmagorical whatever he said.
Phantasmagorical event.
It's whatever he says in the theatre. Whatever he said in the theatre. We did discuss it while we were watching the episode.
I didn't write it down because it wasn't quite good enough for me.
I have one more that is a Charles Dickens one again. Nothing but luminous tambourines and a squeeze bag concealed between the knees.
What?
That was him describing seances.
I love it. This is amazing.
I just loved luminous tambourines. I thought, that's fun.
Can we go to a seance?
And which moan was that?
That was when the two of them were attacking Rose.
Okay, yeah, no.
If I in my favourite quotes, I listed the entire bad girl speech in full.
Oh, which is another one from the old lady.
Yeah, but is that at the theatre or is that where did you grab that?
I can't remember.
Well, we're not going to allow that.
I'm afraid we're striking that
from
the record.
Strike that R from the record.
I think that one is from the theatre, and the first one is from when she leaves the building the first time.
Okay, yeah. Unstrike that from the record. Unquiet that one, please.
Yes, please. Unquiet.
Unquiet
that one, please.
I've then also got the way that Dickens, when he realises that the solution to the problem...
I can't take Charles Dickens'
and he goes,
seriously.
Gosh.
Gosh.
Gosh. I've written it down in the sort of, the sarcastic SpongeBob font.
Yeah.
Where it's like one letter capitalised. That's what I've written it down
gosh.
as.
Gosh.
Oh my god.
Oh, gosh. That should be the name of this episode instead of The Unquiet Dead. Doctor Who Season 1, Episode 3. Ah! Gosh. Gosh. Gosh.
I've then got, I'm going to die in a dungeon in Cardiff.
No, that one I considered for my quote of the episode, but it was fantastic. In Cardiff.
I must say that's also a thing, to go right back to the beginning, that I really liked about this episode, is that Rose finds out that she can die in the past.
No! One of the best bits of the episode even before that, to do with it being Cardiff.
Oh yeah!
I got the year wrong. Don't care. It's 1869, not 1860. Don't care. We're not in Naples. Don't care. We're in Cardiff.
Fuck.
Yeah, she actually...
She stops mid-stride and just kind of stares into space. I don't know what she has against Cardiff either.
I mean, come on.
She had some bad chips when she was there.
No,
it's a really nice setting. It's snowing and it's Christmas.
No, but come on. Could you imagine if me and you got taken back in time by Sam? Because Sam would be the Doctor, obviously.
Yeah.
And we're walking down, Sam saying, "Sorry, you're not in Tokyo in 602.
No,
you're in Huddersfield, and
No,
we
no,
were
no.
equally
Huddersfield,
disappointed.
and
I'm
it's
sorry.
modern
I'm
day.
sorry.
No, it's yesterday.
It's the
I'm
present
sorry.
day.
It's one day in the
I'm sorry.
past.
It's not 1850. It's 2023. Don't care. It's
Also Cardiff.
and we're not on Clom. No,
Oh, no.
Fuck, shit.
Could you imagine if Brexit had been predicted by an episode like
I
this?
thought you were going to say, can you imagine if Brexit had sent us all to Clom? Like, we left the
Oh,
EU, but we
Yes,
joined
the UK
the
like
Clom
rises out of
Federation.
the ocean with rocket engines and goes to Clom.
Yeah, why not?
Like a big red bus that says, if we leave the EU, we can go to Clom.
No, it just says Clom or bust.
Clom or bust.
That's the episode.
The sad thing is out of Clom or bust, even if that was an option, we still went bust.
Yeah, we did.
What a shit country. Anyway,
Any more
pick
quotes?
one quote
I've
each.
got one more
Oh,
quote.
you've got one more. Okay.
Oh my
which was,
Jesus Christ.
Right then, Charlie boy, I've just got to go into me shed.
That was good. Mine definitely is. I think it's got a little bit wrong.
I think mine is definitely the stiffs are getting lively again.
I picked
Oh!
I think.
Is that what you're choosing?
Yeah.
Which one? Which one was that?
You had 5 better ones. 2 of them are the other modes.
Okay, I just want to point out that, like, if we ever start using the quote of the episode in like in the description of the episode, because we've not done that at this point. Right now.
Not yet.
We'll have
we
to
might
go back and
retroactively,
edit
yeah.
this episode's description to have in it.
Well, no, it depends on whether we did or not.
I think we can just say that this episode we discuss.
Should we keep it?
And
Should we keep a tally of who wins the quote of the episode and who wins 5?
We don't need
word
to.
there.
I've written them all down. Oh, I guess I am doing that. Yeah, I'm doing that. I've done it.
Man, that solved itself.
Yeah.
Very rapidly.
I'm sticking with that one.
Which? Okay, can you tell me at least which R that is?
The one
The
in the
first one.
theatre.
Okay, it's the one in the theatre.
The one in
okay.
the theatre.
Theatre R.
My-
We've got.
The stiffs are getting lively again is accurate, but I also think it's gone a little bit wrong is also accurate. I
Yeah.
don't know which.
I vote for. Oh,
You know what? If we're all voting for ourselves,
I think I'm going to vote for Sam's.
well,
It's too stupid.
I'm sorry,
like,
Sam wins.
the dumb part of my brain is attracted to the. He's
I'm with
broken
it.
the format in a way that I can't. I literally
It's
cannot
episode
resist.
3. We barely have a format.
Yeah, I know. But I came up with the format, which makes it even more alluring to break from the format.
Format doesn't feel like a word anymore in my brain.
It's for you.
Oh,
In many ways, Matt. Yeah, it's for Matt.
Oh no.
It's not for me, is it?
It's not for Sam. It's not for Kamal. It's for
For
Matt.
Yippee!
That's why we're doing all of this. This is us playing out your coma dream.
In 4
It's all
years,
format.
in 4 years, are you guys going to give me a VHS tape with all of this on it?
It's bold of you to assume that any of us will be alive in 4 years.
That's a good point. Yeah,
We've got a long and arduous journey to Clom ahead of us.
It's true.
We'll either finish this podcast or die. Those are the only options.
I mean, you're not
Here's
wrong.
the problem. If they keep
if we- that
making
means if we
Doctor Who,
finish the-
it's really likely that we'll die first.
The implication also though is that if we do finish the podcast,
we don't die.
Ever.
Well, that's Clom. That's where we're
So
going.
is eternal life? I suppose it is, as long as we get turned into slabs.
To be fair, actually, though,
Isn't that's only one Clomoid
the
a rogue?
Absorbaloff doesn't die. He just gets absorbed by the planet. He becomes Earth, essentially.
We are Clom.
Oh, that could actually you could do like a 2-parter where the planet starts absorbing people because
Because of the Absorbaloff.
because he's taken
I
over the
hate
planet.
that. I hate
We're
that so much.
gonna get to Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, and you're gonna go. I'm rewriting the whole thing. I think that the Earth should be the villain.
Right. So,
Anyway, to get back to
the
this
final
episode,
quote is
which I
R,
liked. Yes.
the final summary.
Oh.
So as a repeat, you've changed yours slightly.
Yes. Ghosts give octogenarian last Dickens.
I love Last Dickens. That's nice.
Old lady has gas problem.
And mine was don't trust gas-powered ghosts.
The thing is, old lady has gas problems is rather excellent.
I think that goes with the beans idea as well.
I see.
Which is appealing to
The
me.
motif.
But I like Matt's more.
I think Matt's one's got it's got kind of a snappier If we were to pick the one that's the most clickbaity, I think Matt's one is the...
Why? We would never do clickbaity content.
No,
never once.
If you haven't checked out, there's a video up on our channel called... it tells you about the one world Doctor Who can never visit.
We imagine we've tricked you.
I think real fans will know immediately which planet he can't visit. Because he can't. He can't go there.
And we, however, are trying.
We won't mention its name on podcast.
No.
Never would.
It's
what? Right, okay. So
our quote of the episode then is...
You can say it one more time if you'd like, Sam.
Octogenarian.
No, that's the
summary.
5-word summary. It's a ghost.
That's what I wanted, yeah.
Ghosts give octogenarian last Dickens.
I wanted to write it down in my notebook.
Very good.
Just for the wrap up, Mark brackets Gattis / Gatis.
Mark Gattaker?
Mark.
O.J. Simpson.
Let's just call him Mark. Mark, how do you feel about his writing for this episode?
It's good.
I think...
It is good.
I think he's given Russell a run for his money.
I don't think it's as good as the other two episodes. Like I said, the big thing, especially that last scene where the girls are coming through, that whole bit just needs to be reworked a little bit. But otherwise, it's very solid. It is a really good episode. Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I've just noticed in my notes, because I never write cursive anymore, because I don't write often. My cursives have gotten very bad, and Gelth appears to be written golf.
Golf.
I thought you guys all needed to know that.
The golf.
Mm.
And Euros Lyn.
Euros Lyn, another banger. Yeah, Euros Lyn.
He's a good director.
I really hope he's not like some hidden monster.
We'll find out. I mean, actually, we won't. We're not going to look into this, but
I think we shouldn't.
But if someone commented, "Hey, this was like the most evil bastard ever. This was literally Hitler too." Right.
I mean,
then we'll bring it up in an episode. We'll be like, "Oh, we were wrong, guys." We'll do a YouTube apology.
Oh.
We'll do we'll get a bit teary eyed.
Chop someone.
Yeah, onions. Yeah, no, definitely. Wait, no, is this going to be
have them in shot?
Reveal?
Have the onions in shot.
No, we'll then blur it out afterwards.
No, have it so it's just eyes.
It's like really
but like
horrible.
You know that image where it's like, oh, this is eyes on different drugs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that image that's like when they first showed Capaldi's eyes in the 50th special.
No,
you're
thinking too on point. I'm thinking the like drugs.
Yeah, I know the one.
And then it's just our eyes.
I'm a big fan of how Jodie Whittaker and Ncuti Gatwa just didn't want to help. In the 50th. They didn't want to.
I think there was a reason at the time.
No. Until we get there,
and also David Tennant again.
I'm gonna go for the fact that
because he was not.
If they show David Tennant helping and it's his voice, it's all of his lines, but
and
like
also
duplicated and slightly over and slightly
every
out.
Doctor from before Hartnell.
Yes, well, the Timeless Child really does mess with a lot of stuff.
I think it's more like...
I think after finding out about the Timeless Child, the Doctor was just like, fuck it. Like, what's the point? And then just didn't help.
And then did a genocide.
And presumably also before Hartnell.
Then did a few genocides.
Just one or two.
I think it was like
as a treat.
I think they started with a good old triple.
We can always have a genocide as a treat.
Maybe Hitler too. You know what? I don't think we should call Euro. I don't think we should keep calling Euros Lyn that. He's probably an alright guy.
A good wrap up for this episode was that the Doctor kind of participates in a pre-established genocide of his own making for time war crimes, right? By not letting the Gelth through.
Ooh, time war crimes.
Time war crimes.
I like it.
But also, you still have the slowly progressing to the Doctor being good again as a person and always being quite friendly and I'll fix this by trying to be good, and then when it goes wrong, letting everyone die. And I think that's how we should all approach everything from now on.
I agree.
Something goes wrong at work, and I'm driving the truck.
I mean, if this podcast doesn't get enough views, I'm just going to fucking off us all.
Well, I mean, what's the point in living if not to do?
I'm going to shoot myself first, and I'm just going to expect that both of you will follow through.
No. You're going to shoot yourself first and then shoot us.
I'm going to miss a...
The Gelth.
Yes.
I'm going to miss a turn at work on the road, and I'm just going to let go of the wheel.
Sam, whenever I'm in the car with you, I often, very often, just have the thought of, I could just reach over and pull the wheel and we'd die.
Why would you do
You
that?
could put the handbrake.
No, of course
as
I
well.
wouldn't. There's a reason I've never done it, but I have that thought a lot.
Okay. I mean, that's
That's very
that
Doctor
can't
Who
be
of
very
you.
normal.
I don't know if it
No,
is
there's
or
that
not.
thing of like when you got the blender on, you want to stick your hand in it.
Or when you look,
you
or
guys
when you
really are struggling with some intrusive thoughts.
or when
that
you,
I don't have.
no, we're not struggling because we don't do
I
it.
don't do it, but you like have
I
that brief...
I don't have these thoughts at all.
No, but you like that brief moment where you're like, oh god, what if I put my hand in that blender?
Oh, it's like self-preservation.
Yeah.
But then, like,
It's like how when you, like, near a cliff, you're like, oh god, what if I fall
you
off the cliff?
sitting next to Sam in the car, like, oh god, glad I'm not currently like sabotaging
Well, it's
this
me whenever I
vehicle.
look at a bug and I imagine it in my mouth. It's horrible and it's involuntary.
Yeah, to be fair, that does sound rough.
It is. It's disgusting, and I don't want to think about bugs again.
Do we need to have any of this in the
No,
podcast?
no, I think we need to keep it.
Okay. Thank you for listening to that bit.
Yes, sorry.
I might
so
cut it down because we have gone over time.
Yeah, I mean, only a little bit.
no. Every episode we record should be longer than the episode we've just watched.
Well, we've already
No,
failed.
it should be
that,
longer
'cause
than the
second one was
previous-
shorter than the first one.
It should be longer than the previous podcast
Russell,
by at least 10 minutes.
Russell.
Every episode.
Oh, God.
So like we're here for like 48 hours. Like, oh fuck.
Russell, cut down
What
End
is
of the
Chris
World
Chibnall?
so that our podcast can be longer than it. Anyway, yeah. Final thoughts on the episode. Yeah, I
Good.
thought it was excellent. In fact, I'm very agreeable. This is my favourite of the three we've watched so far.
I think it's
really
a valid
enjoyed
pick.
it a lot.
It's
I liked
definitely
it
a
a lot.
valid pick.
Yeah, and if you tune in next week, we'll be discussing Aliens of London, where we're going to have some aliens in London.
And I have
A shocker, never before seen in Doctor Who, and never again will there
And
be
I believe our
aliens in London.
first miniature explosion of Doctor Who.
Yes, I have limited faith in this episode.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think
because
we might have a
the
few changes.
the villains have a not great reputation for being not great?
Hmm?
What?
Thanks for listening!
Oh, it was a Clom joke!
Oh,
Fuck!